know what the beard thing was about. This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and this is a review of Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 1, the Next Generation. Yeah, so we have we have Captain Scott Boyd. And this is T. Algrehot. Yes. No, it wasn't him, but it was obviously modeled after the guy from Arkansas. So, but on Halloween, I was actually playing the ransom character from Lower Decks. So anyway, but it was the other guy. So I wasn't playing Scott. But yes, we have Terry Metalis from Deep Space Nine, who took over production of Season 3. And we have the Okudas are back. There's a younger Zimmerman in there. There's a bunch of people there. Somebody named Annie passed away. I'm not sure who that is, but maybe one of the DS9 people. Anyway, that's at the end. But it doesn't say when it takes place, but judging by where things have gone since then, it's about 3 or 4 years after the events of Season 2. It's probably 2404 or so, and that would be right around the same time as Starship Locations Season 3 as well. So, same time. They line up. They didn't used to. I addressed that in my series. I've completed Season 3 so far of that, but we are doing Robotech stuff first and then going to that. Because the Robotech stuff was in the pipe first and all that stuff was ready to go. So I'm doing that first. Anyways, but now we're going to go, so our Season 3 will be a little later in the year. So yeah, anyway, Star Trek Picard. Season 3 gives us a lot of hints and things. The Trek Yards people were right on a bunch of this stuff, so, yeah, there's they sort of retconned back the Red Angel thing as a red lady. It's a mysterious character in the story. Ends up being a site, a building that goes back to Starship Locations and On Location, in which it was never a spacesuit time traveler from Discovery. It was a building at San Jose State. That's what it was. It was a building. It was the art building. It still is red, a little reddish colored. But yes, art building. That's what it was. That's what that Red Angel was, and that's what this Red Angel star system was. Now, in this story, they currently go to the Raken system, which is, which is also kind of red, but I don't think it's supposed to be the same place. So, there you go. Also, we have a Star Trek 3 type beginning. Well, first of all, we got Picard and Laris having a moment at the Chateau Picard. And we have that going on, and they're still one item. They filmed this right after Season 2. They started filming this right after Season 2. So it was like a year ago, probably. And they were all on, they don't do this. They switched over from the Stargazer to the Titan. Even though they had the Stargazer, they just decided, the Titan A, we should do that. And all this other background stuff. They're going to use the Bill Krause Shangri-La class ship done as a Constitution A, but it's the Shangri-La. It's the Shangri-La, or you might consider it the alternate version of the Arctic class. And so you might consider it the Archer class, and it's the Shangri-La class is Titan. The Titan A is vaguely reminiscent of the. More less than vaguely reminiscent of the Excalibur class Titan A from Starship Chimera in 2019. So they have watched their fan film, even though we're not that famous, and they said that's a cool design for the Titan A. Let's just use that. But they realized that I took the design from this other guy, Bill Krause. So same source, sure. Yes. But yeah. These other guys. No, I didn't have permission, but it was a parody, so it's fine. Now we have permission, so it's good. Anyway, so yeah, there's fan film. We don't worry about that. It doesn't look exactly like it. It's fine. Anyway, so we have So it's reminiscent, the Titan A. We introduced the Titan A in 2019. Now we get to see the Titan A now. And if the 2019 lines up with 2397 or so, now it's 2404, it's very possible that the Titan A could have been under this other guy for a while. Sure. It all works. It's surprisingly well. Maybe Q did it. It's a multiverse. I treat all these Abrams stories, Star Trek stories, even Picard, it's a different timeline. It's not the same timeline. It's a slightly altered timeline. It's Nero and all that, and the supernova that changed the timeline. Yeah. Even though in the other universe there's no Vulcan, in this universe there's a Vulcan. We're in the all these new shows, Discovery and Picard, are in Strange New Worlds even, are all this other universe where things are slightly different, slightly sillier, slightly odder, slightly stranger. So the premise is that Picard receives a distress call. You got Dr. Crusher fighting off aliens in the beginning, and then she sends a distress call to the communicator. That's in the trailer. There's an attack on the Red Lady building. That's in the trailer. If you look really closely, you can see the little Red Lady building. You can tell that's what it is. Okay, they're going to do that. But that's in with 4 sectors. They even reference Deep Space Station 4 in this movie. No, it's Deep Space Station 11. It's referenced in here. Clearly, they've seen Starship Locations seasons 1 and 2. They reference our parody of Deep Space Nine in there. Say, oh, they're going to go to Deep Space 4. We're going to do Deep Space 11. It was closed 3 years ago. That's how I know this is 2404. That totally makes sense. It was the Bright House station in that story. Critical Vitriol was the name of the episode, if you want to look it up. Anyway, so, but this one, Dr. Crusher is, they're kind of a little emulating Wrath of Khan, because in Star Trek 3, they steal a ship, they steal the Titan A. 7 of 9, who calls herself Annika Henson, mutinies, and takes the ship there, even though the captain's not really aware of what's going on, which is odd. A little bit of Star Trek The Undiscovered Country, a lot of music from the Next Generation movies in this. First Contact and Nemesis. It starts off with no credits. It just starts off with barely a credit, and then it has the credits at the end, done on the hull of the bridge thing, which is an interesting idea because you put them on the bridge and flashing lights and stuff, and you can go it over the bridge. Very reminiscent of some of the other stuff from earlier episodes. Not some of ours, actually, oddly enough. Not ours. Reminiscent of Strange New Worlds, but that's Akiva Goldsman. He went over there, so they're down there. Yeah. This was, so you have so far Riker and Picard go on the ship. They go to the nebula even though they're not supposed to. There's been a mutiny. 7 mutinies, even though the rest of the crew is okay with it for some reason, to go to this nebula thing. Then the captain is apparently unaware of this. And the similarities don't end there. Dr. Crusher hasn't been seen in 20 years. She sends a message. Yeah, spoiler review, by the way. And there's so much to unpack. She's in a stasis pod at the end, and there's beginning like scimitar-like ship hovering over there. It's a Cillian Overlord ship. That is what that is. So we have a Cillian in the story who is going to attack them. Yes, it's an Overlord. It's a Cillian. It's an Elysian Cillian Overlord. The aliens with the masks they're from the Evergreen planet. At least they look like it. I'm not saying they are. I'm saying they look like it. And this lady that's going to show up later is basically the Libyan from Silly Trek. And to explain that briefly, when we did our high school role-playing game, I don't know how this guy knows this. He wasn't in school with us. But I've talked about it online a lot. So in Back to the Future, they make fun of the Libyans. The Libyans are chasing after them. And so we liked that name, so we used it. We didn't realize what the impact of that was. We were 16, didn't realize, 17, watching Next Generation, watching Star Trek. And the Libyan terrorists should show up, yeah, the Libyans, because that was the big deal back then, the Libyans, in the 80s, the 1980s, and later on, it was pointed out that was not cool. Um, and the gag was that this girl, who happened to be named Libby, was the Libyan because the holodeck recreated her as the embodiment of her rage against the school and stuff. Which also sounds kind of offensive because, like, oh yeah, you can't say somebody is a terrorist at school, you're in trouble. This is 1986 or 87, 88, before all that stuff happened. So, we didn't know. But yeah, nowadays, if some kid made up a story about, like, an evil little girl at a school, in counseling and stuff. But anyway, she wasn't really evil, she was just a little nuts. So, Libby and Fritz, they were twins. And so the holodeck twinned them and cloned them to the Libyans. Later on in the Silly Trek series, the Starship Locations, which came later, which is on Amazon as books, with the names changed. They're called the Elysians. They're just to make it a name that doesn't sound like any country. The Elysians. That's the name of a beer, I think. So this is an Elysian Cillian overlord. That's second. Definitely an overlord. Not sure why. My guess is they'll reveal that later. But she sends in her aliens and does all the Elysian things. I'm guessing ex-girlfriend Picard. Would be kind of fun. Maybe Philip LeBois has gone insane. It's not Sela. You might think it's Sela. And someone on the internet yesterday made the bizarre comparison of, what if it's Soren's daughter? Like Amanda Plummer, is the daughter. Not the daughter of Malcolm McDowell. That doesn't make sense. She's the daughter of Christopher Plummer from Star Trek 6. So she would be she would be a different person entirely. She would be his great-granddaughter, great-great-great-granddaughter from General Chang. They never met, Picard. So it's not likely Soren's daughter. That doesn't make sense. It's not. There's also a LaForge on it. Some people were saying, oh, there's a LaForge daughter. It's not his actual daughter. It's an actress playing his daughter. Like the character's daughter, the actress is not literally LeVar Burton's child in the story, because that would be silly. That would be, well, they could do that if they want. And Will Wheaton and Gates McFadden already talked about it on the Ready Room about the Space Son and the Space Mom thing. Go watch that. It was awesome so far. They're doing a good job. It hit all the right notes. It does help that instead of 5 producers on this one, they had 3. It helps out. And there was like 2 writers that wrote the whole thing. Terry Mills, one of the guys, Eugene Roddenberry. And so that worked. The one drawback, though, is they went for the whole whispery, marvel-y stuff in the shtick in the middle. That's the one drawback, is you have the whispery, marvel-y stuff. And it's like, do you guys have to whisper things? I mean, yes, we have to be in this room talking softly. We have to explain everything in secret. Well, they're actors. Picard is a Shakespearean actor, but yes, they should know projection, even when whispering. It was a little too, why do we turn the volume up for this one scene and then later on? It's like, bring the sound up. You can still whisper quietly. Evil plan. Well, whisper quietly, we're going to take over the ship, without going, how are we going to take over the ship now? Yeah, we're going to take it over. Making everyone have to relapse. Don't do that. Just say it. Just say it a little bit. Yes, anyway. Doesn't have anything to do with me being partly hard of hearing in this ear. Oh well. No. Yeah, so except for that, they clearly know what they're doing. They made Raffi a junkie again, which was fun. Oh, she goes to a Cillian planet. She goes to the Blade Runner Cillian planet. There's some Transformer elements there. Meets up with the Orion guy from the Orion dude, not from Lower Decks. It would be funny if it was him, but no, it's not. No, it'd be 20 years later. But yeah. For some interesting cameos. Judging by what was in the trailers, their next episode well, they'll encounter this Wrath of Connie sort of lady. I don't think they're going to carry that through the whole thing, because really, even in the Wrath of Khan, the actual scene where Kirk fights Khan is really only the last third of the movie, and a little bit of the first third of the movie. If you go back and watch the Wrath of Khan, it's mainly a character story about Kirk and Spock and old age and all that, which they got wrong in the Abrams version when they tried to reboot it. And they're young and they have never met him, so it's like, Mr. Henson, who's that? You know. So yeah, I could say, yeah. This time, well, they didn't play that up too well. They keep wanting to do the Khan thing, but this one's a little different. They did have a twist on it that's a little different than Khan, and so yeah, it works. So in the end, yeah. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up, because there's plenty of reviews for later. I don't want to give away a lot of stuff. They'll be giving me a call and saying, "Kal Kat, quit giving away stuff in the thing." Dr. Crusher apparently got knocked up with Picard, and that's the kid. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's not the son from the other story. It's her son. Maybe she got married. Maybe it's a completely different person. He also said, maybe the candle thing, they did it. She was in love with that space candle in that one episode. As someone joked about online. And no, it wasn't the candle. That'd be funny. But yes, the Crusher. Oh. Yeah, it's a different universe. Take it as a different timeline, and then it makes sense. Anyway, Star Trek Picard Season 3, The Next Generation. Pilot. My views on the pilot, and it's, yes. And yes, and another thing is this outfit, this shirt, is actually from several years ago. I believe around 2016, and yeah, it just took them a while to come out with the same kind of outfit. So I dug this out and said, "Look, I'm one of the Starfleet ops guys in this story." Yeah, so I said, "I have my own uniform. I can just wear it." Okay. Actually, I think this is the Kitty Key uniform, but it works. This champion Kitty Key uniform. Oh, it's a combat training. So, yeah, the USS Titan. So this is from the Starship San Jose, the California class San Jose, which was doing the beer. But, yeah, let's see that in the lower decks last season. Yes. Also that guy, so captain of the San Jose. Should have been the Milpitas, as Mark Scarps pointed out. Why wasn't it the Milpitas?